Welcome to the Yadusha Show, District 29's favorite podcast. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Yadusha Show. My name is Ann Johnston Brown, and I am your host. Of course, as always, we have on the line the woman of the hour, Assembly District 29 candidate, Yadusha Williams. Hey, how you doing, Yadusha?
I am doing glorious. How are you?
Oh, wow. She's glorious today, everybody. So if you're not doing glorious today, then you've got a problem because it's gorgeous outside.
Absolutely. Oh, my gosh.
Oh, it's so wonderful. And we are just so blessed to be here. And also, we have, of course, as always, a special guest on the line. But,
Yes.
but before we do that, what we like to do is take your questions, and we are going to ask Yadusha the first question of the day. I've got two here, and the question here is, you've expressed your views on voting without an ID. Could you explain why you believe this issue is significant for public policy?
My beliefs that requiring identification for voting is very essential for maintaining the integrity of our democratic process. Voter ID laws help ensure that each vote cast is legitimate, which is very fundamental for upholding the principle and fairness of our election. And we don't get that opportunity too often. They say that voter ID is important that we do not have it because the minorities cannot get an ID, which is completely false. First of all, I am considered a quote unquote minority.
Oh, were you able to
And
get I'm just curious, were you ever able to get an ID? Because, you're black.
right, it's such a struggle. I don't I got my identification back when I was 16 years old.
And was it hard
I've
to
had
do? How hard was it?
Absolutely not. It wasn't hard at all. And they say that people can't afford an ID. Well, that's funny because the welfare system will help people get identification
Right.
for free.
Yes,
So
right.
where is anyone, and I mean anyone, having a problem with get identification? The only ones that's having a problem is the illegal immigrants. They need to go through
Good.
the proper channels to get identification just like everybody else did.
And
So when it comes
hopefully,
to voter ID,
yeah.
we are it has nothing to do with us.
And hopefully when those illegal immigrants are getting identification, it doesn't say they're a U.S. citizen, and hopefully that identification won't grant them a ballot.
Exactly.
So we got to make sure that happens too. And I think you can do that on assembly level. As a legislator, we can
Absolutely.
protect that. We may not have time for that second question today, so that's okay. We'll save it for next week if that's okay with you, Yadusha.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we want to bring in our special guest. Having grown up on a small cattle ranch in Bighorn, Wyoming, Barry Lindemann believes that hard work can take you anywhere. He has professional roots in construction, business, and finance, and is a lifelong conservative. Barry's greatest concerns for Nevada are inflation, taxes, immigration, energy, and the VA, among other things. He is running for the U.S. Senate to solve Nevada's problems, and here he is with us now. Hey, Barry, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Ann. Thanks very much.
Oh, thanks for being here. And Yadusha, I think you've got a number of questions for Barry today, so take it away.
Yeah, super excited. Thank you very, very much for being on the show today, Barry. So,
Love it.
My first question to you is, what inspired you to run for U.S. Senate from Nevada, and what specific goals do you hope to accomplish if elected?
Well, here's the thing. I started in 2022. I looked at the water level out at Lake Mead, right? And I've been a boater since 2000, and it's so low now that it's really endangering a lot of things. It's not just going out on the lake and having a good time. If the water level drops down,
Right.
if the water level drops down to what they call dead pool, the dam stops producing electricity. So you would lose, say, up in Mesquite, 25% of what they call the load factor, which just imagine anything that's 100%, take 25% away, right? You don't operate electrically on 75% of the volume of electricity, if you want to look at it that way. that's coming through those lines. So there's there's not only a big problem with water, there's a big problem with electricity, all tied up with that reservoir, and that reservoir needs to be filled again. And so in 2022, none of our senators were doing anything about that. In fact, they were doing the opposite. They were just kicking the can down the road. And so I decided that I would go ahead as nonpartisan at that time, with 3 months left in the race, just to hop in as a nonpartisan and try to make that an issue. So I did, and I threw and my wife says to me, "Hey, you've got to have positions on everything else," which, everybody's got an opinion. So I threw mine out there on how to solve all other problems in the country. What happened was, of course, I didn't win, but I got so many emails and so many text messages from people saying, "Please run Republican. You are conservative. Please run Republican again in the next cycle." And so I took them up on it. Now, water's actually coming to the forefront as something that Nevadans need to pay attention to, because it is grounded in electricity and it is grounded in development. You can't develop Apex north of Las Vegas without water. The solution ultimately is California has to start desalination out of the Sea of Cortez or the Pacific coast. Sea of Cortez would be the smart move, because you can pump the water up into the Imperial Valley, which is where all the water from the Colorado River goes. And California takes about a 30 to 35% share of the volume. They waste it anyway. They've never done the infrastructure that they're supposed to. So it's time to make them perform the way everybody else has to perform. Everybody out here is pulling up grass and cutting back on their water heaters. And we're doing what we need to do because we're being responsible people in the driest state in the union. And we've got people out in California who are supposed to be environmentalists, and everything's fair, just wasting water.
Speaking of California,
yeah.
Immigration reform.
All right. So I am so glad you called me on this today, because yesterday, the Senate, our glorious Senate Representative Jackie Rosen, who I want to run against, voted not to prosecute Mayorkas, who's the head of Homeland Security, who's basically says how open and porous that border is going to be. And we know right now that anybody can run through, right? What Jackie Rosen actually voted for was, she voted for more sex trafficking. She voted for more child sex trafficking. She voted for more drugs to come in this country. Basically, what the Democrats are doing is they're saying, whatever we can do to destroy the American culture, we're going to do. And I'm furious over this, right?
Well, Barry, let me ask you this. What measures do you propose to address for the border security and immigration policy to uphold Nevada's values?
Okay, because I'm different than my opponents. Everybody in my race, and there's 9 of them, all kind of say the same thing. And you could say that I do, except for when it comes to me and somebody says, say we're on a debate stage, because this has actually happened. They go, "Will you close the border?" And everybody says, "Yeah, I'll close the border. And we just need to implement the laws that we have right now to return to normalcy, get back to what Trump had in 2019, 2020. And that's a short-term solution for me. I think we need to seal the border, stop everybody and almost everything from coming through it, because Mexico is our largest trading partner. We stop that, right? Then people are going to come in Congress to say, what can we do to open the border again? Well, what you do is, there's a bill in the House right now that nobody takes up. It's called HR 2, which is the strongest border protection immigration policy that's ever been written. And that's what they need to pass. They pass HR 2 because you've got to tie whether that border is open or not with immigration policy. They pass HR 2, then you can open the border again. You can finish the wall. You can do whatever you need to do to make us look like a country again, because we have a border that then works instead of this revolving door. So I'm a little more strict about it. People say close the border. I say seal it. You can just keep it sealed as far as I'm concerned. You maybe let some cargo through. You maybe let some trade come through. As far as people go, no, none, zero. Because when you allow people to come into this country, work, get paid, and then they send the cash across the border to their families in Mexico or wherever it goes, right? You lose those dollars forever. They never come back.
Well, I can see your point when you saying seal the border, because that would actually push more people to build more jobs and strengthen the economy. for things that we actually get from that area. So when it comes to the economy, it is one of the biggest top priorities for many Nevadans. So my question is, what strategies do you support to promote economic growth, job creation, and support for small businesses?
Well, you have to move industry back to the United States. Here's the thing: we're all paying an inflated price for everything due to inflation. Inflation starts and ends in Washington D.C.
Right.
Basically, all it is how much money the government's printing. Okay, that needs to stop. Um, so, and then couple that with what I was telling you about dollars going outside the country. You can't allow that
Mhm.
anymore. Those dollars, even if it costs more to say, like, here, take a product that everybody needs to have is toilet paper, right? All that's made in China. You need to start making toilet paper in the
Right
United
here.
States. And it doesn't matter if you have to pay more for it because you're paying more for it right now. All that money's running off to China, right?
Right.
If you pay more for it now, or say the same amount, and that money stays inside the United States, then that's an investment within your country. People down the street who work in that factory are getting paid. They come and buy your goods and services. You turn around and you triple that investment for every job that's made downstream. Three more jobs can be made as long as that one person's getting paid. That was a figure off the pipeline that they were putting in under Trump, right? So when Biden walked in and he eliminated 40,000 jobs, I believe is what it was. What he really eliminated was 120,000 jobs when he shut that pipeline down. So you have to keep dollars within the United States. You have to have an economic policy that favors the worker, and it doesn't favor the worker right now. It favors more Wall Street than anything else. So it's a complex question, but the base of it is how do you keep your dollars within the United States so they work for labor, so they work for small business, so they work for Main Street. And
Right.
you deregulate, right? I proposed for arm's length new businesses that are established within the United States after this next election cycle. They have to file taxes, but they don't have to pay an income tax for 5 years. And the reason is
Wow.
this. If and the reason is this because they do more, because a lot of businesses close on an income tax basis. They'll get going, their belly making it by, then all of a sudden, because of the way the tax code's written, they're going to get this bill for paying an income tax, right? And they can't pay it. So what you say is the first 5 years is you allow them to go without paying an income tax, but you track what they're actually making because it takes about 3 to 5 years for a business to succeed in this country. When you
Hmm.
hit that level, now you got a track record of watching them grow up and watching them get established and watching them get a clientele and watching them produce money and produce jobs and produce all these things. Then you say to them, okay, we gave you your 5 year start. You guys now have to start paying tax. You know why you give them the 5 years? Because the federal government has been here before you were born. It's going to be here after you were born. It really is the entity that doesn't need extra money. So what you do is you allow those new businesses to go and establish themselves so they can produce tax revenue for the next 15, 30, 50 years. More than any other election year, this has got to be the year of change. You can't go for the establishment candidates. You've got to go for the people who actually have the education and, more importantly, the experience in your life similar to yours to go to Washington D.C. and affect change. So, look at my website, nvsenateseat.com. Donate if you can. At least give me your vote when it comes to the 11th of June, and we'll all be in better shape if I get out there and fight for you.
All
Thanks,
right,
guys.
Barry
Thank
All
you,
right.
Lindemann.
Barry.
Barry Lindemann for U.S. Senate. And so we are very, very grateful that you came on the line today. And by the way, everybody, we have a new website. It's williams4nv.com. Williams, FORNV.com. And don't forget to send us your questions because remember, we are starting every show by answering your emailed questions. And today we have an email address for you. It's info@williams4nv.com. Yadusha, anything else you'd like to add?
I thank everyone for their time, and please listen to the conservative voice of Nevada.
Conservative Voice of Nevada, everybody. Hey, listen, it's been a great show. Thank you, Barry. Thank you, Yadusha. And you guys have a great day. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thanks much. You rock. Bye.